In this video, you'll learn how to use Timeflow events to trigger functions and custom methods. To get started, let's open the included events tutorial scene. This scene already has some objects set up that we can work with. Let's select the object Event Test and add it to the Timeflow view by pressing Alt-tilde. This is simply an empty game object, though you may apply events to any object in the scene. We can add an event at the current time by right-clicking and selecting Add Automation, Event, Add Timeflow Event. The event is displayed on the track with a small triangular flag and label. Events can be selected and dragged similar to keyframes. If a track section with an event is selected, the event can be included in any edit operations by holding the Shift key used for related keyframes highlighted in green. Otherwise, if the track is dragged without the Shift key and the event is not selected, the event remains in place. When an event is selected, it can be edited in the info panel in the lower left and with additional settings in the inspector. The event name may be set to any descriptor you like and is only for display purposes. The Triggered checkbox indicates whether or not the event has been triggered yet this runtime. By playing Timeflow from an earlier time, we can see that the Triggered box becomes checked as soon as the playback reaches the event. You may also press the Trigger Now button to manually trigger an event at any time in the editor. This is often helpful for testing and debugging. The trigger time sets the local time of the event in Timeflow, affecting its position in the timeline. Click Set to Current Time to move the event to the current playhead time. And to prevent further changes, you may lock the time. This also prevents dragging the event in the Timeflow view. If trigger limit is set to a value greater than 0, the event will no longer trigger after it has already been triggered the number of times specified. The trigger limit is only enforced during runtime, since in edit mode, the trigger count gets reset whenever the time rewinds or jumps to an earlier time. This feature is only really needed when looping is used during runtime to prevent events from firing more than once, or however many times is set. Now let's go over the event configuration. There are two methods for invoking a function. The first method is to send a message to another game object in the scene, which may be dragged and dropped from the hierarchy view. Then a function name and optional parameter value may be entered. The function name must match the name of a class method, or leave these fields blank if not in use. To demonstrate how it works, the Timeflow event class has a built-in test method we can use named myMethodValue, and we can enter a value to try it out. Now when playing back, we can see that the function is being invoked, indicated by the message in the console. One important thing to note is that all components on the target game object that have a function matching the name entered will be triggered when the event is fired. The second way of invoking a function is to use Unity events, which can directly target an individual component or property value. We can insert a new event by clicking the plus icon, and you may add more than one if needed. This works in addition to the send message function above. We can then select the runtime mode. For events to work in edit mode, select Editor and Runtime. This only works if the target component is capable of working in edit mode. To assign an object, we simply drag and drop a game object from the hierarchy view. For our basic example, we can assign the directional light. Then from the next drop-down menu, select the component function or property to target. For this example, let's say we want to set the light's intensity. We can then enter a value to be assigned to the light intensity when the event is triggered. Rewinding and playing Timeflow, we can see this event in the game view when the light dims. However, we now have the issue that the light intensity remains at that value and doesn't reset. To revert the light back to full intensity, we'll need to create another event. One easy way to do this is to select the event in the Timeflow view by clicking on it, and then use the keyboard shortcut Ctrl-C to copy it, and then move the playhead to the start time and press Ctrl-V to paste a copy of the event. In the inspector, we can see this has duplicated the event component, and we can set the light intensity on the new one to a value of 1. To help organize these events, let's rename this one to Light On and the other one to Light Off. If you like, you can also right-click on the component and select Move Up so that they are listed in the first to last order. Now when playing the animation back, the light starts with an intensity of 1. Unity events can be used to call functions to integrate with any built-in or custom scripts. And for any developers who wish to, The Timeflow event class can also be extended to create custom event handling. That concludes this tutorial on using Timeflow events. Please refer to the documentation links in the video description below for further information.